Welcome to this special election edition. I'm your host today, Angela Alexander Roth, and if you care about animals in Genesee County, you are going to want to watch this show. You're going to want to pay attention, listen to the names we talk about, and some of the millages. We've got some really interesting millages and things that are on the ballot this election. 2014. So I'm going to introduce my guests here, the fabulous Roberta Angelo. She's a great animal activist here in Genesee County. And also Richard Angelo.
Same thing.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
He's a prominent animal attorney here too. These are both wonderful people. I have so much respect for them, and I'm really thankful you guys were on the show today. So thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for talking with us about this.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Wonderful. The reason that I really decided we needed a special election edition was this millage that's going to be on the ballot. I remember the public meeting when Archie Bailey stood up and said, well, I've been surprised about all of the millages that the taxpayers have approved, so why don't we throw something on there for animal control and maybe we'll get a new building or something. Mm-hmm. So tell me about what you think is behind the millage and what people should be aware of.
Well, I think for at least the past 3 years, and really truly longer than that, the voters in the community have been asking the county commissioners to improve conditions and outcomes for animals and animal control. They've come to the meetings, they've held protests, they've written letters and emails, they've made phone calls, and the commissioners have not taken any action. And I think it was kind of an act of appeasement. You know, we'll let somebody else pay for it. We'll blame the problems on lack of funding and kind of move on about our day. That's what I think.
Right.
I was at that meeting as well, and that's exactly the way it came across when it was proposed. And one of the things that we've always said is we don't need more money to be able to fix these things. And apparently, for 3 years at least, they weren't listening to at least that statement.
Okay. And it seemed like when I read the proposal, it just seems very ambiguous, and I didn't read any wording where it will actually go to helping the animals or anything very specific. Am I missing something, or?
No, it's not specific. It's very general. They can use the money for whatever they choose to. And when I say they, I mean whoever ends up being the leadership when the millage comes in, if it's voted in.
Okay, so if they wanted to do salary increases or additional staff or
Sure.
something, it could be.
Sure. And we've seen before where we get some additional money and the community says, oh great, we're going to use it to help the animals, and then we don't. So for example, we got $7,000 added to the budget because the community voted for the pedigree grant, and the money that was supposed to be used for dog food was paid for by pedigree, so they had $7,000 they could use for something else. They decided to hire a kennel attendant, which at first sounded great because one of the problems at animal control is that the cages are just not attended to, and so the animals sit in waste all day and roll in it and step in it, and the advocates want nothing more than to have those cages cleaned regularly so we reduce the disease and have a better place for the animals, but the kennel attendant doesn't attend to the kennels. The kennel attendant now is behind the counter, and we still have problems with filthy cages.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that makes sense, and it just seems like, is it right that it was 1.7 million that they're expecting to raise if this millage goes through?
That's correct.
And
Right.
The current budget is about that already, right?
It's actually close. It's between 1 million and 1.2 million practically for the last 4 or 5 years, it seems, when you look at it. So
It seems like a pretty high millage to me when they don't have wording to really have accountability for what they're going to be using it for. I guess that could help potentially.
Well, and one of the other issues that, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there's about $600,000 worth of general fund money that the county puts toward animal control out of that 1 to 1.2 million every year. That certainly could be taken away once you put this $1.7 million millage on if it passes. Now they could play with that, and everyone knows the county's short of money in many, many places, so they'd be able to take that money and put it elsewhere. That's another big fear.
Okay, so costing the taxpayers more, and then it doesn't even actually result in that much
In
more
the
for
1.7, correct.
animal control.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's so many wonderful options that don't cost money, and I think that was the biggest point. I remember it seemed quite out of the blue when that commissioner stood up and seemed like it just like he didn't hear anything the wonderful people were saying.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, and I haven't been to any of the meetings lately. So, but the other thing on the ballot is the commissioners, and there are several commissioner races. Why is it important that we have a majority for commissioners?
Well, the commissioners, the county commissioners in Genesee County decide policy, procedure, and they decide who's in charge of animal control. And so if you don't think that the policies and procedures are animal friendly, the people that can make that change are the county commissioners. Now, we have a few county commissioners who have tried to make change, who have put proposals before the board that we love and would love to see come through, but they are always in the minority. We need at least 5 votes in order to move forward with anything like that. And, you know, we usually have 3, we sometimes have 4, we just don't have 5. So we need to make sure that at the end of this election next Tuesday, there's 5 people that are compassionate and understand the problems and that are committed to making positive changes.
Okay, and there's some very critical districts that we need to.
Yes, there are 3 critical districts where we have a great candidate running, and they could make all the difference. District 1, Bryant Nolden is the animal-friendly candidate. He's wonderful. Anybody from District 1, and if you don't know which district you vote in, you can find it on our Facebook page, and I'm sure we'll
District
talk about that.
District 1 is Mount Morris.
Yes,
Yes,
Mount Morris
yeah.
area. So Bryant Nolden is very committed to addressing the issues there. District 5, we have Mark Young. Now, Mark Young has been the existing commissioner in District 5 for the last 2 years, and he has done more for the animal advocates than any other commissioner.
Okay.
In that he has, met after hours with us. He's held special meetings. He put together an advisory panel to try to, coordinate new ideas and bring them to the board. Just couldn't get it off the ground with the current board.
Sure. Which is why, again, we need that majority of animal-friendly commissioners. In District 5 is Grand Blanc, Goodrich, and Atlas.
Yes.
Right.
And then we have District 9, where the incumbent is Peggy Adams. Peggy Adams is not a favorite for the animal advocate community because she has defended and really helped to hold back the progress at animal control. And Jim Slezak is running against her, and we would love to see him win.
Okay, and that's Davison, Otisville, Richfield Township, Genesee Township, and those areas for
That's right.
District
Right.
9 for Jim Slezak. Okay, and then those are the new ones that you want to, or what are the other districts?
Okay.
too?
So District 3 is Jamie Curtis, and Jamie has been one of the commissioners who has been supportive and has voted in favor of the animals rather. And he's in the Burton area. Fortunately, he's running unopposed.
Okay, great.
Tony Brown, District 6. So what cities are out there? Fenton, Linden.
Argentine.
Mm-hmm. He's also an incumbent and has also been someone who voted with the animals and wants to see positive change. Who am I forgetting?
District
Mike Lynch.
7.
Mike Lynch, District 7. Yep, he's brand new, dog lover. And he's told us that he's committed. He does not like what he sees at animal control, and we can't wait for him to get in his chair.
Okay, fantastic. And so that's 6 recommendations there. We need at least 5 of them to be able to turn Genesee County towards being an animal-friendly environment at animal control instead of this uphill battle that it seems like everybody's been fighting for years and trying to get a voice. And so our voice can come through with at least 5 commissioners. It'd be great if we had all 6 of them come in.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So again, District 1, which is Mount Morris, Bryant, Nolden. District 5, which is Grand Blanc, Goodrich, Atlas, Mark Young, who's been very instrumental already. District 9, Jim Slezak in the Davison, Richfield area, Atlas Township. Those are our critical districts. So if you would please get out, make sure you go vote. talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, make sure that they also vote.
Mhm.
Seems like there are a lot of people in these midterm elections that don't get out and vote, and they don't think that the president's being voted on, so they just don't see the value in it, especially in Genesee County, especially this year. It's so critical.
It
Yes.
could be a brand new day come January when these new commissioners take their seats. It could be, it could be the turnaround that so many other communities have seen.
Right. And back to the issue of, some people really believe that if you have a millage and you get more money in there, that will solve all of the problems. And I know Grace has proposed several things that don't require money. Not everybody is aware of those things. Can you tell us what some of those steps are and what people could do to?
Sure. Sometimes it just comes down to making better decisions. So having somebody who's very compassionate, a compassionate leader at the head, will make sure that dogs that come in that are stray are not hidden behind locked doors.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing everything we can to reunite a lost animal with their family. Then you don't have to pay to house them, to feed them, to vaccinate them, all that stuff. All those expenses go away. There are hundreds and hundreds of grants available to municipal shelters. Mm-hmm. I mean, Maddie's Fund, Petco Foundation, PetSmart Charities, they all offer lots of money to animal folks. And so, and we have people in our community that are experienced grant writers that have rose their hand and said, I'll help, we'll get you some money. But the current leadership doesn't cooperate with that. If we had different leadership, we could be bringing in more funds that way. And the nice thing about grant money is that it's earmarked for a certain cause. So when people are working on that, they know that the money is going to actually help the conditions and the outcomes for the animals.
Right. Very good.
There's a couple of things. I mean, expanding and capitalizing on volunteers. I mean, we have a tough place for people to come and volunteer right now because it's such a depressing environment. I think if we had different leadership and we had a different philosophy about things, I know people would flock to the doors and they want to help. And so, maybe you don't need that extra staff member because you can really empower and embrace the volunteers.
Right. I know at the Humane Society we've got a great volunteer program, and so many people come in to volunteer because they feel comfortable there and they enjoy it, and it's a happy place. And I go there because I can de-stress, and and you feel good about yourself. I would love to see that kind of embrace at animal control. And
Well, and we've always had at Animal Control, the volunteer program has been so contentious over the last couple of years that, it's amazing that you kick them out, you bring them back, you kick them out, you bring them back. And I had several people in the last month tell me from other counties say, we have never seen the dedication of people that we do in Genesee County to be treated the way you are. Right. And then for the people to just flock back and go in and do what they want to do, which is care for the animals while they're in there. I find that to be both heartening for the community that we have so many volunteers who do want to help, but I also find it so sad that we have to keep playing this ping pong game back and forth, throwing the volunteers out and doing what they do. We just need a structured program to put the right people in place and have those great volunteers come in there and help to make the outcomes for the animals in that place much better.
Right. I can't even begin to imagine what a wonderful place it would be if they actually embraced the volunteers there and allowed them to do things like cleaning the cages and keeping the food and water fresh. And some of those simple things would, there's so many people that are really dedicated, like you said, with animal control. And if they were treated nicely, I can't imagine what a huge group of people would amass there to help.
Exactly.
And
I almost feel terrible for the ones who do go in there because a lot of times they're walking on eggshells, and it just breaks your heart when you talk to some of them because they are walking on eggshells, but they just want to go in, do what they want to do, and care for those animals and get them out as best they can. And a ton of respect and kudos to those people who do it on a regular basis.
how does it work with the stray dogs there? Is there, if an owner comes in and they think their pet has been lost, are they able to go back, or do the dogs get walked that are in the stray hold? What's the situation there?
No, the stray dogs, and even owner surrendered dogs, not necessarily just stray dogs. The majority of the dogs coming in the building go in a locked room. And, every shelter in the land should have an area that is off limit to the public. You might have a dangerous animal, or you might have an animal that is sick, and you know need a quarantine area for that kind of thing. But at Genesee County, it's all of them. You know, very few strays get to be able to be seen or even talked to by a passing volunteer. So if you lost your dog, chances are you're not going to see it if you walk through there and don't talk to somebody. You have to say, you know, is my dog here? And please let me behind this locked door. And if you say that, I mean, the policy, unless it's changed recently, is that you have to have a picture to prove that you had a dog, and they have to look at that picture and determine that, yep, we think that your dog is back there. And if they don't, then they still probably won't let you go back there unless you really push. And we've had so many people reunited, not enough, but so many stories of people who didn't realize their dog was back there, and by the grace of God, or because a volunteer really encouraged them to get behind that locked door, they were reunited. And it just breaks our hearts to think about how many, you know, were really wanted by their families and not found because they were hidden.
Right, and it seems like that would save on cost for animal control too, if they just allowed people to find their animals. It takes away the boarding cost and the food cost and the vaccinations,
Right.
or
And
euthanasia cost.
Not to mention the county does have a charge, and it should, for picking up those animals. So when someone comes in to get their animal, they're paying a redemption charge to get that animal out, plus a boarding fee per day to get the animal out. So why you would not want to collect those fees and allow that animal to be reunited with its family is, you know, it's ludicrous.
Right, and that's one of the things that could change if we have this majority of animal-friendly commissioners. They would be able to change that policy.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's other municipal shelters that take a picture of the dog as it's coming in, or the cat. We haven't even talked about cats, but the animal as it's coming in, and they immediately put it up on the website so that, you know, if you're at work and you're worried about your dog, you can look every 20 minutes or something and have confidence.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, but you know, we're not even allowed to share those pictures of those dogs back there
Until they make the public area of the stray ward.
Yeah.
But
Because sometimes it's not even the owner that sees it. You know, it could be a neighbor, it could be a friend that says, "Hey, did you know your dog is at animal control?"
Right, that's true. And working with more rescues might be another good thing, that if some of those policies can change with the friendlier.
Yeah, I mean, animal control is not an easy thing. You know, we have plenty of criticism for what's going on Pasadena Avenue, but we know it's tough, and we need the whole community to come together. And we have fantastic rescue organizations that want to help and want to be involved, but you know, most of the time they have to pay a full adoption fee, even if the animal is sick or pregnant or, you know, not otherwise adoptable. And it just makes it tough for those rescue organizations. And, you know, sometimes when they say an animal is rescue only, if the shelter deems an animal rescue only, they don't recognize the majority of the rescues that are out there. They limit it to just a few, which really overburdens just those few.
Right.
Okay, right. So such a critical election. Another thing that's a statewide proposal that's on the ballot. There are two statewide proposals that are also regarding animals, about wolves. Now the first one is pretty easy to understand, I think, where they are asking for it to become allowable to hunt wolves. Nobody really eats wolf meat. There's no purpose. There's not an overpopulation of wolves. They just came off the endangered list, so they are finally at a stable population, but certainly not overpopulated. And I don't see why people would want to start hunting wolves, but that's the first proposal.
That's true.
And then the second proposal, can you explain the second proposal?
Okay, well, we're about Genesee County animal control, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this. Maybe you could speak to it better than I can, but what I understand is it would not allow the public to petition on behalf of an animal that was going to be hunted. Is that?
If you're talking about the second one, basically, it puts the power to determine whether or not an animal can reach game status with the National Resource Council, I believe or Natural Resource Council.
Which is not even a wildlife division. It's
right. Right. So, and this is in response to a lot of the petitions that have been going on, and they tried to get on the ballot. This is another one of these ping pong issues that go back and forth, and it's becoming political, and it really shouldn't. It should be a matter of, if the people say, then that's the way it should go.
So trying to take away the ability, like right now we have the ability to say yes or no, we do or don't want wolves to be hunted, and then that would make it so a smaller committee could just determine it, and we wouldn't have the right to even petition them to express our opinion of.
Basically taking away the voice of the people by putting it with a small group of people, and whether or not they're experts is the big question, I think, in a lot of these ballot proposals at the state level.
Even more so being that it's not a wildlife department, it's the natural resources. So yeah, that does sound like a power grab to
That's what they're calling it. They're saying vote no to the hunt and no to the power grab, 1 and 2.
Right.
Okay, very good. And so many things. If you care about animals at all, please make sure you get out and vote this Tuesday. Talk to everybody that you know. Can you tell people again about the commissioners, the names of the commissioners that we...
Yes, most certainly. In District 1, we want to support Bryant Nolden. In District 3, we want to support Jamie Curtis. He's running unopposed, though, so he will definitely win his seat. 5, Mark Young. Mark Young is really an important person to vote for if you live in Goodrich, Grand Blanc, Atlas Township. District 6 is Tony Brown. He's the incumbent running unopposed. District 7 is Mike Lynch. He just won his seat in the primary and is unopposed. He's going to take the seat in January for sure. And District 9 is Jim Slezak. That's the Richfield, Otisville, Davison Township, Davison area.
Fantastic. And if anybody wants more information, where can they get more information from Grace?
So we have a website, GRACE-TheEvolution.com, but the best place to go really is our Facebook page. So if you find G.R.A.C.E Residents for Animal Control Evolution on Facebook, there's always conversation going on. If you have a question, you can message us. We're going to have people answering questions all day long on election day, so if you don't know where to go to find your polling location, if you're not sure what district you're in, message us, we'll help you. There's also a great tool on the Secretary of State website, a voter help place for voters that you can put your name and your zip code and your birth date in, and click on view your ballot, and you can see your actual ballot. You can print it out, you can fill it out before you go, so you can walk in confidently. Great. You don't have to think about it once you get there.
That's very nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we really appreciate you coming on today, and definitely appreciate everything that Grace does for the community. You keep us informed. I appreciate how frequently you update, and you're very informative with the posts you put on the page, so it's greatly appreciated from, I think, a lot of people in the community. So.
Well, thank you, and we just can't thank the community enough. We've had so much help and so much support. I think our page gives people a place to talk about these things, which is great, but we could not do anything without the people behind us. We've had, 50 people get involved in promoting these animal-friendly candidates and hand out flyers. And as we speak right now, there are people freezing their heinies off, walking door to door in Grand Blanc for Mark Young. So everybody who's been involved, who's shared a post, who's told a friend, who's done anything to help this cause, they're all part of this, and they deserve our thanks.
Very nice. Are you looking for people to help at the polling locations or anything on Tuesday?
We talked about it, but it is supposed to rain and be cold,
sure.
And we think we've asked the public for enough, so
Great.
Probably not.
We're in the home stretch here, though, so it's hopefully we're going to have a great Wednesday.
Excellent. Well, and we would appreciate everybody sharing this video with your friends through Facebook too. Maybe we can reach a lot of people that way, and make sure everybody understands how crucial this election is to the animals in Genesee County. So thank you all very much for watching, and have a great election day.